Hello there, and welcome to another edition of Hashtag Now Smoking. I'm your host, Gary Korb, executive editor for cigaradvisor.com. And today we've got something a little bit different. It's a bundle cigar called the Famous Nicaraguan 6000. And this is a series that we've been doing for years at Famous Smoke Shop. And today I'm going to be smoking the Churchill. And my guest today, my colleague, Jared Gulig, is going to be smoking the Toro. So not only are we going to get to try a new cigar, we're going to get an idea of what it tastes like in different sizes. So Jared, welcome. How you doing today?
Pretty good, man. How about you, Gary?
I'm okay. Actually, I shouldn't say it's a new cigar. I mean, well, it's been reblended. Yeah, it's a new release of this blend. And it's been around for a long time, these Famous Nicaraguan. I guess the best-selling one is the 3000. And this is the 6000. So anyway, you can go on famous-smoke.com, check them out. Look at all the Nicaraguan 6000s, 1000s, 2000s. So anyhow, this is basically a cigar which has some very special tobacco in it. It is made by Aganorsa. And you know how we love Aganorsa, right, Jared?
Oh, yeah.
So there's Aganorsa filler in here. It's Nicaraguan, Corojo, and Criollo from Jalapa and Esteli. And the wrapper is a Nicaraguan Corojo 99 from Jalapa. And it is advertised as full strength. And my Churchill is a 7x50. And Jared, what about your Toro?
Toro is 6x50, pretty standard.
Okay. All right. So anyway, there really isn't very much information on these cigars in terms of, you know, the blender and the you know, all that stuff we usually talk about. But I'll tell you, these things sell like crazy. And I think with this new blend, Jared, we're going to really, it's going to really take it to a whole new dimension. It's going to give the 3000 a run for its money. I'll tell you that, right?
Yeah, and the good thing is with it having that Corojo 99 and the Criollo Corojo, core, that's a very, I don't want to say standard and cheapen it, but it's something that Aganorsa has done before and they do it well. So I'm pretty hopeful that this is going to be a rock solid cigar.
Yeah. Well, let's cut them and light them. How about that?
All right.
All right. So I've got my
tasty pre-light.
Really? Okay. Well, let's full disclosure. I mean, I have had some of the other sizes, but I have not had this Churchill yet. Actually, they've all been good. The Robusto is very good. Oh yeah. The draw is pretty good. I'm getting kind of a leathery, salty note. What about you? On that pre-light, what'd you get?
Pre-light was kind of I think it's salts, but I see what you're talking about with the leather. It was kind of like that, like almost like an earthy, leathery taste. You know,
it's like salty leather.
Yeah.
I think there was a character on the old Odd Couple show years ago. His name was Salty Pepper.
Salty Pepper.
Yeah, that was his name.
They just call me Salty.
He had a racing dog or something. It was a funny episode. But now I'm dating myself. Anyway, the cigar lit up quickly and really evenly. Yeah, and there's a nice volume of smoke. It's very creamy. And it's not too spicy. It's, I guess, well, the first couple of puffs, I don't know if you can judge it on that, but it seems to be like kind of the medium-bodied, range starting out.
To me, I'll be honest, it's a little full-bodied up front for me, but I also haven't had lunch. So that might be why.
Yeah. Well,
it's
anyway,
kind of buttery.
Kind of buttery.
It's got this like buttery taste to it. But I get that a lot from Aganorsa stuff, though.
Let's see how we do when we get down about an inch or so. We'll talk some more. We'll get a whole bunch of information on this, and we'll talk about some other things. Okay, we're in Act 1 of the Famous Nicaraguan 6000. Churchill, Jared's got the Toro, and I'm just about 1 inch in, and I got to tell you, this is rounded out beautifully. I got a little pepper up front, like they normally have in a lot of these cigars, and now it's just smooth sailing. How about you?
Yeah, it's kind of like they just dropped the fader a little bit, It's I wouldn't say that it's lost any flavor, but that potency, to your point, is not there as as fearsomely as it was before, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I'm still getting like a little bit of saltiness, which isn't bad. I mean, I kind of like it in a way. I don't see that as a negative, and a little bit of that kind of like woodiness and some earth. How about you?
Yeah, I see you point for point on all those. I get a little bit of butter, but I think the saltiness and butter kind of goes hand in hand. I think
Yeah,
people, will correlate the two. I definitely am picking up the earth and wood notes that you're picking up as well.
yeah.
And I'm even getting a little bit of like, just like a faint little bit of like grassy sweetness to it, just a little bit.
Okay, yeah. But what's interesting is for those who just they missed the introduction. Our cigars are the same ring gauge, they're just an inch difference in length.
Yeah.
So we should get pretty much the same thing. I think it's almost like you have a head start, you know. Like,
Yeah, it really depends. Like, it would be interesting to go down to the factory in Aganorsa, or I should say in Nicaragua, Aganorsa's factory, and see if they're using the same length leaves for both the Toro and the Churchill here. But so
interesting.
far, we're pretty much on par with each other.
Yeah, and I'm getting a great burn. I don't know how well it's coming up on the camera here, but the
Yeah,
ash is
mine too.
beautiful. It's almost all one color gray and little nickel stacked, I guess, and just really nice.
Yeah, and I
Yeah,
always get impressed with cigars that have good ash quality when you're outside. I mean, I know you're technically outside, even though you're kind of sheltered there, but I'm out here and it's not windy or anything, but it's a little breezy, and that usually puts the cigar a little bit sideways. And this is holding up pretty well.
yeah. It's the wind died down. It's a beautiful sunny day outside, but it's so bright. If I
Yeah,
sat out in the driveway, I wouldn't be able to see you or anything. So,
right.
I guess I'm stuck here in the garage. But I'm going to ash this thing and see how that goes.
Okay.
And wow, it's really firm. It doesn't even want to come off. So I'm going to leave it.
All right, that sounds good, man.
So here we are having our little herf. And, you've done a few Facebook Live herfs from home. Have you been able to tap the pulse of the cigar smokers out there as far as being able to buy what they want, where they smoke, what are they smoking? Have they made any substitutions? Got any feedback at all on that?
So I will tell you one of two things. One is that cigar smokers right now are loving that sense of community that they get from those live herfs. A lot of different
Really?
companies are doing it. We've done it a couple times. I've done it after hours for Cigar Advisor. But I actually did a poll recently on our Facebook page,
Okay.
which is like in perfect, lockstep with your question here. And I asked, have you had to make cigar substitutions in recent orders due to budget concerns? Now, I haven't
Okay.
seen the poll completed yet, but when I last looked at it, we had 104 responses, 88 saying no, that they hadn't had to, and
Okay.
16 saying that they had, which is interesting because, given the evidence is anecdotal here, we're talking about,
Hmm.
people just giving their personal experiences, but
Right.
it kind of reminds me of the guy who was my mentor years ago when I first started in the industry. He always told me that cigars are a recessionless industry. And he said,
I guess they are.
it's true, because think about it. Right now people had to cancel their vacations. They've had to cancel this and that. And what, might be a budget cut for some, others see an opportunity. Hey, I'm not going to the beach this year for 2 weeks and spending $2,500. I'm going to buy a box of cigars. And actually, even one of the responses that I saw said that,
Yeah.
hey, I've actually stepped up my cigar game given all this. So I was a little bit surprised, to be honest. A little bit surprised.
I wonder if anybody spent that government check on cigars.
I partially did. Partially. So,
Well, I got to tell you, I just ashed this, and it's really really nice. It's a cone shape. The ash is sitting there, vertically, and it's absolutely great. This thing is burning like
yeah.
you would know it's a bundle cigar. And I don't think we've really done many bundle cigars on this program. I think this might be one of the first.
I'm not sure.
So this is really nice. I got to tell you, this is a really good value. You know,
Yeah.
because
I mean,
you're getting an Aganorsa quality cigar. For really really nice price.
Yeah, it's funny, Gary. I see so many people when you check out like cigar forums, and there are plenty of people who love bundled cigars, but there are so many people who kind of trash bundled cigars, and oh, that's not real cigars. And I'm like, most of these things are either seconds or they're overruns, and
Right.
we've talked everyone's ear off about why those are a good thing, but really you're getting factory firsts to have visual seconds. Your taste buds don't know the difference.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you. And we've smoked a lot of Aganorsa product over the last year or two. And
Oh yeah.
this was definitely up there. I'm still getting kind of that salty taste and almost like a tanginess, I guess is the only way I can describe it. How about you? You getting like tangy note?
I don't know if I would say tangy. There's definitely some sweetness that's starting to come in, and that
Yeah.
obviously makes sense. It's a Corojo. Corojos are known to be very sweet. But it's not, I don't know if I would say it's tangy, but it's just got this like nice well-roundedness to it. It's just a little bit sweet, a little bit buttery, but nothing is kind of jumping off the page, you know? They're all married, and I like that in a cigar. Sometimes I like the roller coaster, sometimes I just like when it's just all there. And this is one of those
Yeah.
cigars where it's all there.
I'm agreeing with you. We're total sync on that too, because I'm getting a really good balance of flavors, and every puff is just really smooth and really flavorful. And I don't think you can ask for more than that.
No.
It's just we talked about consistency, and so far this has been very consistent. Even the other sizes I smoked, excellent. So these people who have this sort of a hang up on bundles, well, let them have it. I'd rather they spend more money anyway.
Right.
But I think that they're kidding themselves a little bit on that.
I think there's a lot of people who do things, we live in the social media world now, right? Where everybody wants to save face. So maybe it's not as cool to smoke a bundled cigar, but to me, it's really cool to smoke a bundled cigar because I know what it is. And I know that I'm getting a lot more stretch out of that dollar when I'm spending it. So, if I was going to take a picture of a cigar, to put it up on Instagram or something, this might not be the cigar that I'm going to choose. But if I'm going to smoke something and not worry about how much I'm spending on it, this is what I'm doing.
All right. Hey, one more question before we skip off to Act Two. How's the weather treating that cigar for you today?
The weather's treating it pretty nicely. I kind of touched upon this earlier, that the wind wasn't really deviating the burn line too much, and it's not. But it's even like I can feel like my hands are a bit dry. We've had a lot of rain recently, but when it gets dry up here, it gets really dry and dry fast, and I don't feel like the cigar is drying out or anything like that. So it's holding up to the elements very well.
Yes, so is mine. It's just burning perfectly. So anyway, Act One seems to be a winner. Let's see what happens when we get to Act Two. All right, so we are back. Famous Nicaraguan 6,000 Churchill, me, 6,000 Toro, Jared.
That's right.
How's it going, Jared?
Pretty awesome, man. We've been talking off camera for quite a while about this, and I got to say, man, for what we figured out the price was, it's just a little north of $2, right, per cigar?
Yeah, it's $49.95 for a bundle, 20.
I'm going to be honest here. People are
Mm-hmm.
going to think I'm pandering, and I'm really not. But if you blindfolded me and didn't tell me what this was,
right,
and asked me to give it a price range, it would be above $8 easily.
I was going to say $7. Yeah. It's a very fine cigar. That's absolutely true. And sometimes I just wish that bundle cigars had prettier bands. I don't know why. I guess it's a thing with me. But who cares about the band? You don't smoke the band.
Matches my shirt.
That's true. But I'll tell you, during the break, this thing has been smoking beautifully. I mean, it's absolutely phenomenally good performance on this cigar. So let's talk about the flavors just a little bit here at this juncture. I'm getting still kind of that sweet tobacco note and still a little bit of that salt. And I guess kind of a woody kind of a thing in there too. Some cedary notes. It's pretty much, it really hasn't changed that much. It hasn't even actually gotten much stronger. It's been very, very good, very well behaved, you know.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it, well behaved. The only real differences I'm getting right now are in the retrohale. So
Okay.
I know I'm a little bit more prone to retrohaling than you are.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it's got this like really nice floral kind of, even almost like you know, that black licorice or anise note you get every once in a while from a
Yeah,
cigar.
yeah.
That's coming out through really evidently through the nose.
Well, I'll give it a
Um,
shot. You're talking. Go ahead.
but I think you're on the money. To me, I wouldn't say it's
Yeah.
changed slightly. It's gone a little earthier for me, which is something I
Okay.
expect, and that's kind of indicative of an Aganorsa. But
Mm-hmm.
you know, and my burn has slightly canoed a little bit, but I don't want anybody to get scared off when I'm saying I'm doing that in the interest of being honest. But
Mm-hmm.
we talked about it earlier too. That's a lot of that's the wind. You know, a lot of
Yeah.
that's the wind out here.
Yeah, I
So
mean, and I'm not in the wind, and mine is going great, and they're the same ring
yeah.
size. And anyway, let's talk about pairings a little bit. I'm just doing the coffee today, but what have you got?
So today, you know, if anybody caught our panel review last week, I was doing beer, and I'm kind of on a beer kick now, and I wanted to try to go like toe to toe. So I went with a local favorite around here. If you're from Pennsylvania, you know Yingling real well. But this is a black and
Oh, yeah.
tan, which is part beer, part porter. It's like kind of almost like a half and half. And that
Ah,
normally by itself has notes of like coffee, kind of caramelly, you know. But what it does is when you put it together, it's this just real smoothness. It basically takes a refined cigar and smooths out even further. It's like taking like sandpaper to the flavors. You know, it's just smoothing
uh-huh.
everything out. It's a great pairing. Full
Yeah,
bodied beer, full bodied cigar, perfect match. You know.
I was tempted to have a Mike's Hard Lemonade Black Cherry, but I don't know if that would be a
Ooh.
very good
That
combination.
stuff that stuff gets you messed up though, man. It sneaks up on you.
I don't know. But anyway, I want to ask you about something else. You're our top new cigars reporter. And when you hear about a new cigar that's coming out, what motivates you as far as you wanting to buy it? Is it the brand? And that doesn't have to be a cigar that you're writing for us. Just hear about a new cigar. So, oh, that's interesting. Is it the blender? Is it the blend? Is it the price? The band? You know, I mean, what motivates you to want to have
I
that
am
cigar?
I'm almost never motivated by price. And the reason for that is because of things like this, because price has this funny way of lying to you. And that works both ways. Like you can get really expensive cigars that turn into duds, and you can have
Right.
really inexpensive cigars that end up being gems, you know? So
Mm-hmm.
I obviously, you know, we all have our finger on that pulse of, you know,
Mm-hmm.
who's on the up and up for, you know, when it comes to blenders and things like that. I normally go for a blender that I trust, but I'm going to be honest, when it comes to new cigars, at least in my position, I almost have to try everything because I'm writing about everything. And I actually got a question sent to us on Facebook last week from one of
Mm-hmm.
our viewers. He said, because we put up the Super Colosso, which is like that 11 by 80 or whatever it is, right?
Oh
And he's
my
like,
God.
do you actually try all the cigars? And I said, most.
Yeah.
Most. There are exceptions. I'm not going to smoke a baseball bat, you know,
Yeah.
but if, you know, if I'm going out on my own and it's not work related, I'm going toward a blender that I've identified that resonates with my palate. Almost always.
Go
We
ahead.
talked a little bit about my pairing, right? So if
Mhm.
you don't mind me breaking rank a little bit and asking you a question, I know
Yeah.
you're not pairing anything specifically, but you did mention wine.
Hmm.
Is there a particular wine that you can think of off the top of your head that you think would go good or well with this, I should say?
Yeah, I think this isn't a particularly sweet cigar, but it's got just enough sweetness to keep me satisfied. I think a good, you know, I kind of tend to lean on the red side, so I'd say a good, you know, uh, let's say a Malbec.
Okay.
I think that's how you pronounce it, or even like I love the Spanish Rioja. That kind of goes good with everything. And you know what'd be good too? That Italian stick wine that Pulo turned me on to.
Oh
It's
yeah.
got a long name. I can never remember it. I'll put it in the text, but that's very good too. That's a little sweeter, so it might bring a little sweetness out, on the palate with that kind of wine. But yeah, I don't really have wine that much with cigars though. I probably should have more, but these wines sit in my house. I live alone mostly, so you know, the wines end up going to my brother's house when we have a family thing. So he's got like half the wine that I bought over the last years. Never even got to taste.
He takes your seconds, right?
Yeah, it's hysterical. But anyway, I'm just going to mention that the smoke volume in this is really nice too. It's really dense. It's very creamy. I like
Excellent
that a
output. Yeah.
lot. Would you say it's complex?
Subtly. And I guess by definition, the subtle complexity really isn't. I think there's probably like three major flavors. Like we've talked about the sweetness, we've talked about that woody earthiness, and we've talked about how there's some spice. And I think those are probably the three. It's like a three-pronged assault, if you will. But there's some nuance in the background. So I'll say it's got a subtle complexity to it. It's not over the top. It's not a roller coaster, as I said before, but it's certainly got some changes that if you're sitting out and you're relaxing and you're by yourself, no one's bothering you, you're going to pick up on that much more than, even though we can't be in a crowded smoking lounge. But if you're smoking this 6 months from now, in a crowded lounge somewhere, you might not be picking that up.
Yeah. And that's another thing. I think these are going to, if for those who want to go ahead and venture a bundle of these, I think they're going to age up nicely too. They're going to round out really well. And I just did a second retrohale, and I think I know what you mean. I got a little tiny bit of that anise, but it was kind of like a mix of that and cedar, like a woody note, like maybe oak. It was
for me it's almost like this floral like sweetness, like I can totally see where you're coming from, and I think people perceive it different ways, but I think we're definitely in the same section, maybe different number in the seats, but that's about it.
All right, well, I'll tell you, Act 2 has been fantastic. Let's see what happens in Act 3. So here we are, Act 3, Famous Nicaraguan 6000 Churchill, made by Aganorsa Leaf. Fantastic so far. Jared, give me the report.
Well, man, so remember I told you earlier that it was that it had started to go a little sideways on me. There's a little bit of remnants left of that, but not too much. And we were talking off camera how that's just such a hallmark of a great cigar when it fixes itself like that, because I did one little touch up to relight it because we were talking so much now on its own, and I could not be happier with the result, man. It's just excellent flavor throughout, and I still can't believe this is $2 and change. I just can't wrap my brain around that right now.
This thing's going great too, and I wanted to say this earlier, but I don't know how mine looks on camera, but I think our wrapper colors are a little different.
Yeah, yours is
there's
a lot darker. I mean, it could be the lighting. I don't think that it's as extreme as it looks on film, but there's definitely a difference. And I don't think that's all. I don't think that's very abnormal, and maybe you can touch on why it's not.
No, I mean, whenever they do cigars at the factory, they put them in the boxes. They have a woman. It's always a woman who puts the cigars in. She eyes them up by color, and puts so everything looks nice and even. So you could have one box that maybe they're a little more beige, another box they're a little more chocolate in color. But as long as they're even. But it really is nothing to do with the quality of the wrapper or anything like that. It's just that's just nature. It's just a natural thing.
And when they're bundling them, they're saying, hey, you're getting them for $2 and change. you're gonna get some differences in the wrapper color, and that's fine. It's really cool that you brought up that women always do that, and that's not a chauvinistic thing at all. It's actually based in science. They can identify colors way better than men can. It's really cool. I read a couple of good articles on that. It's really fascinating.
Yeah, I wanted to ask, and when I was interviewing Laurel, of course, it was an afterthought. I always wanted to ask women cigar smokers like Laurel, serious cigar smokers, if they think women have better taste buds than men, if they
That's interesting.
taste better as well as see better. So, you know,
That's interesting.
most women, I think more women cook than men, and most of them tend to cook a little better, in a lot of cases.
They cook better than me, that's for sure.
But, I always want to ask that question. But anyway, we're talking about flavors. How would you describe the flavor profile of cigars that you like the most?
Mm.
Like toasty, peppery, sweet, dark, bold, herbal, I don't know, smelly,
Smelly, yeah. No, I like bold cigars a lot, but I don't
Yeah.
like them too strong. When I was younger, I liked really like full-bodied stuff. And as you get older, you become, I think, maybe less tolerant is the wrong way to put it, but it's the best way that I can put it right now is I think you're just looking, it's kind of like how when you first start out in beer, you'll drink anything and then your palate grows and you grow into what you like. And you're not just looking to get your rear end kicked all the time. You're looking to have a good experience and to enjoy yourself. So for me, I like spicy sweet. I like bold. But every once in a while, man, it really depends on my mood. It depends on the time. Like I like mellow stuff too. And every once in a while, I do like to have something that's really potent, that's really going to perk me up, It just depends.
Really? I think at least the way I came about knowing what I like or discovering what I like. Like, we smoke so many different cigars, right?
Oh, yeah.
All the stuff coming in all the time. And it just, one day, and I guess I'm talking to the audience here too, so those of you who are watching, one day you're going to have a cigar, if you haven't already, and you're going to say, wow, that's it, and then like in my case, it's cigars that have like a good sweetness to them and a little bit of spiciness and are real creamy and stuff. So that's what I kind of like. So I'll always try to find cigars that are similar, even though I do smoke a lot of other stuff, stuff that I would normally smoke, because I have to review it or whatever. But at the same time, that's, do you tend to do that too? You tend to look for the same thing, or do you just like having all that variety?
I don't know. I'm still very much in exploration mode. And I've told people time and time again, and I'll say it until the day that I flatline, which is that cigar smoking is not a destination; it's a journey, and you're always growing. And the more that I learn about cigars, the more I realize the less I know about them. It's one of these things that you could smoke 200 blends tomorrow. If you could do that in a day without keeling over, you could smoke 200 blends. And you'd actually walk away with more of a changed outlook and questioning what you previously believed than with answers, because that you'd have so much more insight, so much more data, for lack of a proper term, to go on, But for me, I like balance a lot too. Like you were talking about sweetness and stuff. And, to bring it kind of full circle for this cigar, that's what I'm really liking about it, is how balanced it is. That it's not just like,
it is.
It's not just sweet over here or bold and peppery over here. It's everything all at once. And I kind of said it earlier, the flavors are very well married together. And that's a lot harder to do, in my opinion, than to make a sweet cigar or a spicy cigar. I think it's easy to make a spicy or sweet cigar. Just load it with sweet tobacco and it's going to be sweet. But to make something that's balanced, blended well, I think that's the true art of it.
Yeah, and there are a few guys that can really do that well, And I say Aganorsa is definitely one of them.
Oh, definitely.
What are you getting in terms of flavor now? I've got about, I guess I'm down to the last 3 inches or so, and a little more than that. Yeah, about 3 or 3.5. It's getting a little more earthy for me. How about you?
I agree with you on the earthiness. I think it's gotten a little bit saltier for me too.
It's still salty, that's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say at this point, like I was saying, the salt is peaking a little bit more. The earthiness, to your point, is definitely kind of a little bit above the rest of the flavors, but still that nice balance to it. But I've often joked that earthiness is kind of like an easy way for us to say that it's bitter. But this is one of those cases where it's not a bitter earthiness. It's actually like, maybe you could say it's lush. It's got a vibrancy to it. It's really nice.
All right. Hey, who's the cigar for?
Honestly, this is going to be a cigar for more experienced palates, in my opinion. But it's a really good cigar. If you've been just on that verge of like, you're obviously not a beginner, but you've had a little bit of experience. You are maybe like mid-range. You've exhausted all of the avenues that you've gone down for medium-bodied, and you're looking for that next step up. This is going to be maybe a first-time appreciate a cigar that you can appreciate. And it's different. There's the cigars that you smoke and cigars you appreciate, and they're two different things.
Right. I was going to say almost the exact same thing. This is the kind of cigar I would call this a transition cigar.
Yes.
In that you're starting to get into that range where you want to try something more full flavor, but maybe you don't want to spend $12, $15 on an expensive Padron or something that's or Davidoff, Nicaragua, something like that. But this I'd say hey, for a couple of bucks, $3, whatever it is, this will give you a good idea what to expect in a good full-bodied cigar.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm thinking. I guess
we're
on the same page there, I guess.
Sure. And one thing I actually just thought of is that our experiences have been nearly mirrored the entire time with these two cigars. And we're looking at wrappers that have a different hue for one, and we're looking at cigars that are different to the tune of an inch in length. So if you're just one of those people who are like, hey, I just want more tobacco, more tobacco, go for the Churchill like you're smoking, because if you're normally a Toro guy, you're just gonna have an extra inch, an extra half an hour to enjoy the cigar. It's a no-brainer.
In fact, I'm working on an article for next week about golf cigars, and I'm including this in the golf cigar thing.
Oh yeah,
good golf cigar. Yeah, this Churchill. Yeah,
I think it would be a great golf cigar if I knew.
For guys who want a little, something that they have more of a full-bodied palate. They want something a little stronger while they play. I notice a lot of golfers tend to go more for like the Connecticut's and the medium body stuff. But if you want a little more zest, a little more zing, this would be really good on the golf course. And I guess it's kind of a no-brainer to say that this is humidor worthy, right?
Yes.
I mean, for the money, you can't beat it.
Yeah, if you've been buying nothing but singles all the time, and you're trying to break into your first blend that you're going to buy the better part of like 10 or 20 of, this is one to do it on.
Yeah, it's really, really delicious. Really, are you getting any? I'm not saying I'm getting any. I'm just asking if you're getting any. If you're getting any like a kind of a cocoa kind of a essence out of it, or because I thought I caught a little bit of that, but I could be wrong.
If there is, it's I'd put it like more along the lines of like what you were smoking on that or not smoking, but what you're trying on that last panel review, like the super dark chocolate, like where it's not as sweet.
Yeah,
you're getting more of that baking chocolate flavor. That for sure. And even at the tail end of this, instead of getting hot, it's going a little bit to the road of like coffee.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I'm not getting really any. Well, I'm drinking coffee, so that negates that. But it's just everything's been just great about the cigar. I mean, it's the draw, the flavor, the balance. I don't know what more to say about it. Then I think it might be time to wrap it up. So, any final thoughts on the cigar?
Buy it.
Okay.
Buy it for
Two
sure.
words, buy it.
Yeah, that's
Anyhow,
right.
so in case you came in late, well, we are smoking the famous Nicaraguan 6000 Churchill from our famous Nicaraguan thousands lines. And this is the Churchill, as I said, it's a 7x50. Jared's got the Toro, it's a 6x50. It's all Corojo and Criollo tobacco, made by Aganorsa, absolutely terrific. And remember, you can buy Famous Nicaraguan 6000 cigars at famous-smoke.com. And while you're there, sign up for the catalog. It's free, and there's some phenomenal deals in there. And for more smoking cigar advice and information, visit us at cigaradvisor.com and sign up for our email list. And you can also follow Cigar Advisor on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. And if you're watching this on YouTube, please like this video and subscribe to our channel. Click the bell for notifications when one of our fascinating videos, and they are fascinating, aren't they, is posted. So that's all for now. Jared, I want to thank you for coming by.
Hey,
You're really
thanks for
great
having
as
me.
always.
Thanks for having me. I had a great time, man.
All right. So see you next time on #NowSmoking, and happy smokes.